Welcome to the Towns of Learning Show podcast series, episode 55, with independent learning tech analyst John Lay. Today I interview Barry Kelly, CEO at Thought Industries, about the current state of customer education, professional training, and the not-so-scary topic of headless LMS. You can find more of our independent content at townsoflearning.com. Welcome back, listeners, to the Towns of Learning Show podcast. On this show, I am fortunate to interview the world's leading experts in extended enterprise learning solutions from both the vendor and the practitioner perspectives. Today is no different, as we have return guest Barry Kelly, who is CEO and founder of Thought Industries. Barry and I first met in 2014 and discovered we had a common vision for extended learning, and we've been sharing notes and trying to push the extended enterprise learning industry forward ever since. Barry's been a lot more effective at it, though, with his company, Thought Industries. Thought Industries is a Towns of Learning 2022 top specialty LMS winner. They're a perennial winner in our annual awards. They shined recently in our new Towns of Learning 2023 Commercial Learning Systems Market Report that compares and contrasts the top 40 award-winning vendors in 50 different categories. It's been a while since we had Barry on the show, so we have a lot to talk about, including an update on Thought Industries and the customer education and professional training marketplace. We're going to discuss advanced features of the extended enterprise LMS that HR and employee LMSs never even considered. And we're going to talk about the downside of trying to build your own LMS, the whole new world of integration, headless applications, and the rise of Helium solution. That's a lot. So let's get right to it with Barry Kelly. Barry, welcome back to the Towns of Learning Show podcast series. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, John. As always, delighted to be here.
All right. Excellent. Well, it's been far too long since we had you on as a guest talking about advances in professional education and customer education. And as you know, so much has transpired in the last couple of years, 18 months, that it's long past due to have you come back and update us on what's going on. But for those that might not know you, even though that you're a perennial winner on the Towns of Learning System Awards every single year, why don't you tell us about Thought Industries, Barry?
Oh, thanks, John. Yeah, happy to do it. September will actually mark the 10th year in business at Thought Industries. So all these lines and lack of hair follicles, is mapping that journey. No, it's been a really great run. As an organization, we started the company with, an absolute focus and vision to deliver external learning. And really what that means is helping organizations delivering learning at scale globally. So we work in two sort of segments of the market. One we call, as everyone will know, customer education. So helping organizations educate customers across the total life cycle so that they can, sort of benefit from the power of the educated customer. And that we can get into a lot of that later. And also in a segment of professional training. So we help organizations where training or education as a product. So those are professional certification organizations, associations, enterprise training companies, to help them, deliver highly compelling learning products, at scale, monetize, deliver, license, and everything else that is involved in helping organizations manage that and power the business of learning.
Mm-hmm. It's curious that that customer education and professional training are two verticals. Why is that? Was that intentional, or is that accidental because of the parallel nature of the requirements? What's the connection there?
I think it's really interesting because as a company at the very beginning, we started out in that professional training market, and I think in 2018 sort of formally entered customer education just because more and more organizations were coming to us inbound. They were looking to sort of solve a lot of the very, very simple challenges, and they weren't able to do that with internal learning management systems. So I think at that time, we looked really, really closely, at the market, trying to understand product market fit, use case. It became obvious to us that, that we could, support the needs of that particular market. Now, what actually is really interesting is that at scale, these organizations look very, very similar. So customer education organization that's delivering learning globally, monetizing, strong P&L, integrating with technologies, delivering all sorts of blended learning and different types of learning products. in lots of unique ways, licensing, managing, white labeling, integrating. Those businesses look very, very similar to professional training companies, right? Doing the same thing, monetizing learning, have a P&L, have product integrations, partners, resellers, all of those things. So, for us, really where, our sweet spot, I suppose, overall in the market is in when those use cases start to get pretty complex. And so as a result, both of those organizations look very, very similar, at scale.
And so the challenge is, if maybe you just got done encapsulating them, but the challenge is that organizations at scale doing customer education or professional training would have with a traditional learning management system are all about the business of the content business.
I think there's more. I think I look at it in sort of three ways, right? I think one is around sort of product, right? Product ideation and the delivery of a highly compelling product to the market. And that's everything from micro learning objects all the way to sort of multi-year blended programs with instructors and certifications and sort of everything in between. So you need to be able to deploy high levels of diverse content, both in-person, synchronous, asynchronous, semi-asynchronous, and you need to be able to, do that with ease, very, very quickly. So that's the product side, the packaging of that product, the delivery, subscriptions, packaging, monetization, training credits, everything to do with, the delivery of all of those products, personalization, recommendations, dynamic learning content development, all of those kind of things. And then, so there's two parts of the last one, which is sort of reducing administrative overhead, right? So, very, very quickly with these organizations, we get into the process of managing the business, dealing with partners, resellers, monetization, reporting, integrations, support, localization. There's a tremendous amount of administrative overhead for organizations to run these businesses. So for us, for many years, we've focused on, the stuff, maybe it's the not so beautiful stuff where you're trying to take highly complex tasks, improve them, and make them more scalable. So there's that part. And then there's just reducing technical debt. So in many cases, we're working with organizations that may have built, homegrown technology. They've got teams to try and support that, delivery of scale, security, all these things. We kind of take a lot of that pain and suffering off their plate. And also, as the focus then, and I think, for us, a really, really explicit focus on the external learning. We don't do any internal corporate training. So our focus on all our product development, our roadmap is focused on helping organizations that are facing their training and learning to the outside world. So customers, partners, and the external ecosystem.
That's a real key point. I think a lot of people forget about, like, if you're trying to do external training and you're trying to do that with an HR system, in some degrees, you can get part of the way there or some of the way there with those systems. Yeah. But the problem is every dollar of research and development that organization invests, only a small portion of it actually comes back to, a B2B business model, of the features that you need. And so it's a key differentiator with your organization and specialists in general, is that 100% of the R&D dollars are generally to the benefit of most of your customers.
Absolutely. And they're pushing the boundaries. So, I think, the feature development is reflecting use cases that are being driven by everybody in our, our client base. And I think it rises, so sort of, the rising tide, right? So that's one of the great benefits of it. And I couldn't even imagine being in a generalist learning management company and looking at the product backlog and all the inbound requests for product development. For us, we have a lot of feedback just on all of those use cases, and you have to go really deep, right? When there's business on the line and revenue on the line every minute, and there has to be all sorts of uptime at all points of time and scale. You got to be prepared for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. It's also the difference between being proactive and reactive. So, a lot of times with the generalists, you're standing in line banging on the doors for what you really need versus in your case, you're always, a lot of your clients are like, I hadn't ever even thought of that, but that is like a great idea, because some other company a month ahead had thought of it before them, which is really neat. But we digress. Hey, let's dig into, I wish these podcasts were like 3 hours long.
Me too.
Listeners, probably not. Let's dig into the integration piece. You mentioned something that a lot of these organizations, where you touched on it around a custom system, and I'm running into that a lot too. So professional organizations, customer education organizations, or professional training couldn't find what they needed in a a commercial LMS, an HR or employee LMS. The specialist LMS weren't really developed yet, so they took this path of kind of developing their own system. I'm seeing a pendulum swing back now, that a lot of organizations that did that are kind of trying to move off those decisions of custom solutions and really move into, well, really more headless type solutions as a solution. Could you comment on all that? What headless means, how important that is, how integration is, and what you think about that pendulum swing, if there is?
Yeah, I think we could talk quite a bit. I think, the really interesting thing, I think even beyond, I'll get to the headless thing in a second, because it's fascinating and it's a really exciting sort of part of our business and sort of where the world of learning is going. I think overall, like we look at the sort of build and the organizations that have built technology, and I would say probably at least 50% or more of the organizations that we work with that come to our shores, are being migrated off homegrown technology, or at least homegrown technology that may be integrated with maybe some off-the-shelf other SaaS products, CRM product or a WordPress product or something like that. And, at some point, there's two things that begin to happen in those particular scenarios. One is that, the cost to support the technology becomes really high, right? There's technical debt in any organization that writes code. And at a certain point in time, product can get tired. You may end up being in a situation where you're spending more time supporting just keeping the technology going and alive than adding new features, right, that are adding business value. And also just the overhead of that, security, especially in this day and age, GDPR, security, siloed data, all the things that are really critical, those become, significant investments in terms of managing overhead as well. And then I suppose the last part of it is just sort of, feature development and the benefits that are maybe coming from organizations that are delivering and seeing a much more panoramic view of the market. So for us, we work with organizations to help reduce the overall noise, reduce technical debt, create some stability in the business, help them get scale, so that when they start to be, when they're continuing in the market, that they can take business opportunities much more quickly. So sometimes it's about enabling a feature rather than having to build it. And then also have, the benefits of still being able to integrate with maybe some remaining homegrown technologies, or integrating with their other ecosystem. So integrations are a really important part of our business. We're communicating with so many adjacent pieces of technology, CRM systems, virtual training technologies, labs, commerce, tax, translation tools. I mean, the list goes on and on, when it comes to being able to integrate certification engines, things like that. So there's just tremendous benefit from being able to reduce a little bit of overhead, have a partner who's going to be there to take over the headaches of the technical, delivery every single day. And then also to be able to avail of their roadmap that's, delivering brand new features that's going to help you drive your business. So we see that all the time. In terms of headless, I mean, this is a really exciting thing. We've seen, I think, in two markets in particular, in the content management world, and then in e-commerce, we've seen headless for organizations that really wanted to create their own very, very unique bespoke experience, but have the stability of the back end, the business logic, the database, the security. So essentially what we've done at Thought Industries is that we've done that. In September, we released Helium, which is our headless learning technology. And essentially that decouples, the front end of everything that you experience, all the learner experiences, flows, courses, objects, assessments, you name it, anything, right? Checkout flows, websites, anything can be completely customized visually on the front end and decoupled from the back end. And so that allows for all sorts of amazing use case liberation, I suppose, right? So if you can think it, you can build it. It allows you to not only leverage and augment the front end, but it also allows you to make calls to external data. So you can begin to bring other data and other information and other experiences right into the course of learning. So that's where we see this unbelievable, sort of opportunity in terms of kind of what it can do. And this isn't by chance, right? For many, many years, our customers have been coming to us saying, we love this. We really like it, but we want the left-hand nav to do something else, or we want it to look different, or we want to bring our own data from our product into this, or we want a recommendation logic to do something a little bit different based on these data points. And so now we're able to do that. We've been about 2 years in development building Helium, and it's now allowing organizations to really create some really significant, significant control over those use cases and the customizations.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's not a customization in the terms of the old use of the word customization, in the sense that all of your updates and everything is still upwardly compatible without tinkering. When you make that. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because customization used to be an ugly word, because
right.
Sure, you can customize anything, but then you got to maintain it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the challenge with a lot of the homegrown systems is, maintaining that specialty. But with Helium and with a decoupled headless LMS, you're essentially customizing without impacting upgrade.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
100%, right? And we'll continue to release features and open endpoints to organizations so you can continue to make those experiences much more interesting. I would put it this way: there's a sort of a continuum of how it can be used, right? So our product can still be used out of the box, deployed, configured as it is, right? So say a learner dashboard, take it out, move the widgets around, deploy it, put your logo in, do whatever you want, deploy. You can also insert that experience, target an object, change that object with code, so you can customize an object on that page, or if you want, completely rebuild the entire thing right from scratch. So there's a whole continuum from sort of no code all the way to literally you want to build a full React front end to any part of the learning experience or any part of the overall interaction with a learner buyer. That can all be done towards that continuum. And I think one of the main things, because the word headless gets thrown around a lot, we have to be, I think, if the definition in our mind very much is that we not only do we just decouple these two things, but we've built a whole developer suite, right? So this becomes really important. You have to be able to create a whole bunch of developer tools. Number one, you can use an MIT license to download our entire front end. So you got access to that. You can get in and customize it. You also have a technology called GraphQL, which delivers all the different endpoints and all the queries that you need to query all our business logic so that you can query those and make some changes. We have a whole deployment technology that allows you to deploy to QA, to staging, to production. And also we use a technology called Tailwind that allows you to manage and deploy all the front-end customizations through CSS. And not only that, a whole developer site and developer communities where individuals are able to interact with each other, as they're kind of sharing and writing code, which is how developers work, right? It's all about collaboration, learning, sharing. So that's the really exciting part of it. And our belief is really that some of the most amazing things that are going to be created will probably not be created by us, right? We're providing the framework, the technology, and the environment. And I think the next wave of amazing innovations are going to happen by people who are building technology on our platform. So that's the really exciting thing here. We're also working towards, in this year, we'll also see the marketplace. So any of these objects that we're talking about, dashboards, assessments, you name it, like pretty much anything, an instructor dashboard, instructor, queue management, whatever it is you can come up with, right? These are objects that can be created and installed in our marketplace where our customers can come and, license or download some of these objects for use in their own instance. So it begins to sort of create this, community of development that's, I think it's going to really transform the way that, learning can be experienced and delivered and managed. And we're also looking at now at heliumizing, right? Making some of the back end of our administrative side of our technology headless as well, so that if you wanted to go in and change our parts of our administrative back end because you want client managers or you want instructors or you want content creators to see something slightly different or change that, you're going to be able to do that too. And that, that now really begins to kind of change the whole paradigm in many ways.
Sounds like your baby's all grown up.
Growing up, yeah.
Growing up, off to college. This is serious. This is serious now. So, it's serious enough that I'm almost scared because this sounds really technical. Like who does this stuff? Do they have to come to you? Tell us about that. How does I mean, with the developer tools, like do you know third party, you already know GraphQL, so you just know how to do this already? Who does all this work?
That's a really great question. And, we've been really fortunate, the leadership at our company, our chief product officer, Todd Bowes, our chief technical officer, Chris McClelland, who's, one of the co-founders of the company. And so spent a lot of time over the last 2 years, building a lot of documentation, a lot of infrastructure, developer.thoughtindustries.com if you want to learn more about how, all of the information around Helium, how it's developed, starter tools, code recommendations, all that kind of thing. Helium at its core, right? I think in terms of developing is a developer tool, right? In many ways. So not every organization is going to have their own developers. So we have a partner ecosystem that we're building at the moment. I think we've got currently at this point about 6 partners who work across the different disciplines, from like design to front end build to React development. So for organizations that want to, on a project basis, or augment their development or do some levels of customizations, we have really great partners who are really skilled with the Helium framework that can help that as well. So, to be honest, still our customers, like as I mentioned before, they're just going to use our ever expanding technology out of the box, right? And use the same configuration tools that they would have always used to leverage our technology. And they can still do that, and they can still do a lot of very, very powerful things. It's just for those organizations that say, you know what, I'm going to build a brand new learning experience or a dashboard or a stage. We want to build our own product detail pages, or we want to change and create our own checkout flow, or we want to do something that's kind of off-piste, I suppose, from what Thought Industries is doing. Then in that case, then they will kind of open it up and begin to edit that, front-end React code. And then, we'll be in a process of technical management. So it's like, I think, it is, as we said, at the kind of right end of the continuum. You could build a whole alternate learning management system, on our framework, right? If you wanted to go that far. So it is really, really, really powerful. But again, we want to make sure we're implementing a lot of the low code, no code interfaces and technology. This year was one in Q1 that's going to allow you to do a lot of drag and drop functionality, edit in line, a lot of that stuff that that augments what we already do.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. That's great. So for the medium high end and the high end, your clients have a home. But, it just strikes me as obvious here, though I hadn't thought of it before, which is a lot of things in life. Who has all these developers in-house is all the organizations that are trying to be software companies building their own LMS for their thing. So if you're in one of those organizations where you got a whole team of developers trying to hold together, band-aid together your open source, learning management system, the efficiency of taking them and putting that horsepower all towards doing good versus maintaining. It's like right there alone is the business case to.
Absolutely. And we're working like,
easy.
Yeah, we're working in, POC concepts a lot with our, with our prospects and customers right now. And they have development teams, lots of them, and lots of different developers kind of across the, across the code base, from back end to front end developers, design folks. So it's going to be quite liberating for those individuals to have, again, like all that back-end infrastructure, all the logic that we've created over the years. And, that's the one thing I will say is that it's interesting. There's certainly, RESTful APIs that organizations have. And again, sometimes we come up and get those questions in the market. Well, what's the difference between the headless and the sort of a RESTful API? Can't we do the same thing? It's quite different, right? You're almost closer to kind of like open source in this, but with all of the, all of the server support, all the logic, all the back end, and you also, all those developer tools that are going to allow you to have all that in one box rather than going out and having to create separate infrastructure that calls APIs and does stuff separately. So, and all the maintenance for that. So there's a lot of benefit from, consolidation of all the developer tools and the community here as well. So.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Maybe it feels like it's been longer than 18 months because the whole world's changed here in just one conversation. We used to be talking about, hey, let's use customer education for prospects. And, and now it's about building these whole unique environments. And I think that's a reflection of how valuable this industry has become, how much value you and in general learning is providing these organizations, that it's not just about flipping it on and pushing a PowerPoint. Now it's really creating these business environments because it is just so important. And it just warms my heart because it takes learning from some kind of evil thing that employees have to do for compliance to something super strategic for organizations. And every time I talk to you, it's getting more strategic, both your organization and your clients. So super thrilled to have you here and share your knowledge and updates.
I appreciate it, John. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Look, we've been very fortunate over the years to have incredible customers who have just, taken the journey with us and pushed the boundaries and, in every way, right? From the product experience to monetization, to margin optimization, to delivery, to reporting, integration. I mean, these organizations that we work with are operating highly complex businesses, and, learning is part of it, right? It's just kind of one part of very, very complex operations. And, a lot of times we kind of look at ourselves internally and say we're kind of more like the ERP technology for learning businesses maybe than we are at an LMS. And there's so much administrative and technical overhead. And that's kind of like a lot of times where we feel like, is our comfort zone. Like, how do we really help organizations quiet the noise? And, we're fortunate every day just to see so many incredible businesses, do really inspiring stuff across every single particular segment and market, So it's been really exciting.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That's Barry Kelly, CEO, founder at Thought Industries. You can learn all about Thought Industries at thoughtindustries.com. You can check out all this developer stuff at developer.thoughtindustries.com. Thanks for making that public for everybody. That's a great service to the industry in general. And of course, Thought Industry as a winner in the 2022 Talented Learning Awards is featured in the brand new 23 commercial LMS and learning systems market report from Talented Learning. You can find that and other fiercely independent information on the learning system market at talentedlearning.com. Listeners, thanks for tuning into another one. Barry, thanks for sharing your wisdom. Everybody have a great day.
Thanks so much, John. Thanks, everybody.
All right.